Summer here in Texas, and this is when my building always slows down. It's super hot, very dangerous. A solo builder off grid, I can't afford to give myself heat stroke. But for the last couple of years, I've been chasing around this problem that I've had where my energy level has gotten so low that I've actually been visiting with doctors, and I've even changed doctors. This is something that as a late model, and I'm a late model solo builder. I'm off grid, building all by myself. Keeping yourself safe from heat, but also keeping up on your health is super important. Well, did a lot of different things, but it's gotten to the point where it's really hard for me to engage with large scale projects because I know that my energy level wasn't what it was even a couple, 3 years ago. And it's been such a marked drop off that I've taken notice. Furthermore, my heart just kind of started hurting. So, and been doing the blood work, the blood pressure, my white blood cell count was up a little bit, and some various problems. Well, uh, when I finally got to the bottom of it, so and I had some emergency surgery on my jaw. I had a root canal extracted. Now, this is a tooth that I had removed from, or that went bad about 4 years ago. And I asked for them to pull it, and they talked me into root canal. So I'm going to talk about doctor relationships here. I'm going to talk a little bit about me. A graphic warning here. I'm going to show you the tooth that they pulled out because I think root canals, 22% of them fail. But I think that they're a much higher impact on people's health than doctors are willing to admit. Every time I see a doctor, not every time, but the counterpoint to saying root canals can be very toxic is to say, well, millions of these are done. There's all these people wandering around just fine, and it's all in your head. Well, that's not true. I'm going to spend a minute. I'm going to walk through what's going on here with me, but I want to show you here the situation. Let me go ahead and share that particular um, situation that I have. So again, graphic notice here. All right. So what do I have here? Well, what I have is my a wisdom tooth way in the back that you could clearly see should not have gotten a crown, right? I mean, this thing it's upside down in there. They extracted it. They had to put bone back in its place because it had eroded the bone. Well, in this particular case, I'm going to go ahead and switch off to something that the CDC says. In this particular case, it was near a blood vessel near the heart and had given me blood poisoning. So the last 2 years, I had been working with blood poisoning, which explains the massive degradation in my performance. And of course, I did all the stuff doctors said to do for a man of my age, but none of them told me to take a look at a root canal. And until I changed the dentist, the new dentist, she took an X-ray and she went, "Oh my gosh, this thing needs to go out. You've got an infection. It's into the blood. Um, you know, uh, and that was really news that I wasn't willing to digest right away because the previous dentist, when they said, "Oh, uh, we'll pull off that root canal," or we'll do a root canal on you for this thing. I said, "Oh, I don't want a root canal." I said, just pull the tooth, right? Uh, just pull the just pull the tooth, and let's get done with this. It was like at that time, like 145 to have the tooth pulled. This was 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago now, and I kept arguing with me. Oh, well, if you have a tooth pulled in the back, your teeth will shift and then you'll have, and I said, I'm pretty old. I don't see my teeth shifting. And by the time they get around to shift, I'll be in the grave anyway. I'm not worried about it. Um, but the doctor, impressed upon me, well, it's a middle tooth, a middle molar, and that you'll need a bridge or something in there. There's additional cost, and you should try to save it if you can. Uh, and I was dead set against it. But if it's a middle molar, and okay, I yielded. I didn't yield easy. I really said no multiple times, and my previous dentist didn't listen. What the previous dentist didn't disclose is I already had a pocket of an infection under that tooth. Doing a root canal on a tooth that already has a pocket of infection is just going to create an entomb dead tooth into existing infection. And you all saw that picture, and I'm sorry for the graphicness of it. Anyway, that got into the jaw, got into the blood vessel, and went down and created something called endocrotic infection in my heart. Basically, the bacterial load, blood poisoning in the teeth, got in that blood vessel, went down, and it gets in the heart, the lining of the heart, and gave me a slight enlarged heart. Now, it's been about a week, and I've been holding off saying anything because the doctors, that say maybe this isn't it, maybe something else is going on, right? But I am telling you, I'm like 1,000% improved. I was really, to be honest, better the first day, even though I had, the pain in the jaw and everything. But what I wanted to talk about is one, the danger of root canals, and two, doctor-patient relationships. Listen, I'm a pretty strong-willed guy. It's pretty hard to run over the top of me. But when it comes to working with doctors, I cannot get them to listen to me as the person, my body, my choice. And furthermore, I think not, they just want to win a fight. They just, whatever a patient wants, if it's not what the doctor wants to prove they're right. In this case, the dentist. And they fudged. They fudged. They told me it was a middle molar. It's not, it was the last molar. And they told me that it was safe to do the root canal, and it wasn't. It was that tooth clearly needed to be extracted right from the very dawn of time. Um, in retrospect, I was right. And how much money did I put into a root canal? Thousands of dollars, right? Then a crown, just to later on to have it destroy my health for a couple of years, make me go on this whole, and it, wasn't bad for me to do all the research and do all of the late model testing of my body, but I shouldn't have had to have done it. Our relationships with our doctors shouldn't be this difficult. We shouldn't be discounted so easily. Let me share my screen again, and we'll move on to some things here. So, when I took a look at real world, what um, science has to say about root canals. Does the evidence support an association between cardiovascular disease and infections? And I saw that this particular study increased the risk of 57%. Yet the study still says that it's weak evidence. Well, there's two different ways to ask this question. The question is, do people with root canals always have heart conditions? Or do people with heart conditions always have root canal? And since heart disease is the leading cause of death, it dilutes out any particular one stream of a problem. But I know for a fact that this root canal is what has caused this problem with my performance, my ability to get things done. And I just want to encourage anybody that has a root canal to get them x-rayed, have the doctor take a close look. You look to yourself, and go online, learn how to diagnose if there's a pocket of infection. It's just as easy as Googling, right? X-ray X-ray uh, root canal infection, right? So we'll take a quick look together here at some images, right? But underneath the tooth, you'll see that there's this pocket. See this particular tooth, the underneath it. See how there's a pocket underneath it. Well, you have to look really, really close. This root canal they did, I could see re-root canal. They did it twice, and they injected something with pressure, right? And you could see that it got in there, and they say it's fine. But I'm going to tell you, in a couple 4 years, this is going to fail again. Um, would I do a root canal again? Sure, if it was a front tooth, and I was concerned, that I would have this space in my teeth and it wasn't already infected. Maybe. But I was right to push back against the doctor. I wish I had not listened at all to the dentist. This has been a really detrimental experience to me and has greatly impacted my ability to get work done as a solo builder. Now I'm still building, but I'm doing littler projects, and I thought it was just my heat tolerance. I thought I gave myself heat stroke or something. Well, no, I had a deadly infection caused by this. So you can't start a root canal when there's something like this. It's already this person's going to be in trouble too. I just randomly grabbed pictures. You can see that there's an infection underneath that root canal, and yet they did it anyway. I mean, maybe they cleared it up here in the second picture, right? Maybe. But you saw my picture. My tooth was incredibly infected. Had no business anybody doing that kind of work. Anyway, so I took a look at it, and in this report, now I'm not going out to Mr. Nobody, right? This is the PubMed Central for National Library of Medicine. The review on here. Anyway, 22% of root canals fail. Um, and the cardiovascular disease is present inside of people who have failed root canals. And the methodology for that bacterial infection is called this chronic endonic infection, right? And so I'm glad I kept on it, and I'm glad I kept pressing, and I'm glad, to be honest, that I changed doctors and dentists. That had as much to me doing and moving away from where the city I was in to buying this farm and getting new doctors. But I am glad that I got all new doctors. I don't know if the other dentist was ever going to admit that they had a bad root canal, or were they just going to let me get it inflamed and then go, well, that happens. But the problem is my heart hurts, and my uh, endurance in the heat is shot. I mean, I can't, work. And it's the soil temperature is 138. Tin when I work with it can be 145 to 160 even. And over 100. It's hard anyway. Texas is hard anyway. So you don't need some kind of a thing going on. Well, anyway, 22%. But it depends, right, when your root canal goes bad, where it is located. And in my particular case, it was located on the side of the face near the vessels that feed the heart. So it was connected. Other blood vessels do go to other places. And keep in mind that your eye teeth, right, your eye teeth come down in. Your teeth are connected to your endocrinic system. And when there is an infection in that, you're in trouble. So never get a root canal, in my opinion, if there's an infection like I had below the thing. The dentist should have known this. And he should not have argued with me. And he pushed and he fudged the facts enough where he could win. I don't think it was a matter of fraud. Maybe. I like this dentist. I'm not even going to say his name. But he is not the first medical person that I went to, nor in my family that where you go to a doctor, you've done your research, you're not a conspiracy theorist, you're not somebody who's mentally unstable, and you say this or that. I've got this lump on the back of my neck. Oh, don't worry about it. And it turns out to be a tumor. I've seen that in my life. I've seen young people who were non-drinkers, non-drug users, get encephalitis, an infection in the brain, and the doctors just, oh, you're doing drugs, you're doing not listening and not listening to the family. Not, I've seen this repeated over and over and over. Doctors' bedsides matters. Now, I'm sure that patients are difficult. I'm sure of it. But I think that doctors should elevate to people who are logical and in charge of their own health and listen more closely. I wish to goodness I wouldn't have let should have pulled it 5 years ago. I am thinking that from that point forward, I've had that so bad it was that they had to do a bone graft in there, and they wanted to use a cadaver bone. Well, to this dentist, I said, I don't want cadaver bone in me. I will perseverate on what that person was like, and if it's ground up cadaver bone, do they do a bunch of them? Every day that I wake up, I wonder about the human being that isn't me that was injected in me. And I know your body reabsorbs it. Some people don't have this problem. This is not at all a religious thing. To me, it was entirely the way I think and the way I perseverate on things. If I would put a human cadaver bone in my body, was it a good person? Was it a bad person? Was it a little girl? Was somebody killed in a car crash? Every minute of every day would have been hell on earth for me. Oh, the new doctor, they pushed back on that a little bit. I could just, their mood changed as soon as I put a parameter on how I wanted my health care to be. The new doctor wasn't on board. Dentist, I keep saying doctor. Oh my God. And they try, I said, listen, I said, I know me. I said, I've spent my whole life burying people. I've got PTSD when it comes to cadavers. I don't want that. What are my options? Well, you can do a bovine bone. Well, I like cows. Put bovine bone in there, or a pig bone. I don't raise pigs, but cows I like. Happy little cows dancing through the field. So anyway, they had to order in the bone that I chose, the bovine bone, because they didn't have it in stock. But again, at least this dentist listened to me and listened to the fact that I holistically can't just pull a tooth out of my mouth and put a cadaver bone in there and say, I'm good. No, my mind would not have ever released that, and it would have been bad for my mental health. Now, here's a guy who takes care of himself, right? I take care of myself. Why is it so hard for doctors to pay attention? So going back to this root canal. So when I started looking at it, there was a pretty good video, and I'm not trying to redo anybody's. There's a lot of videos out there. This root cause, this is a video. Root cause is one young man's adventure on his experience with a root canal that went bad. And you'll see the ratings only 5.1. Listen, it's better than 5.1. Why do things have to be contentious? Your body is a complete machine. And if you throw a wrench into the engine, the transmission is going to be impacted, right? If you throw a problem into the your jaw and you get an infection, and every root canal is different, right? If the front will impact a different part of your body. I happen to be near a blood vessel that got right to the heart. So anyway, they came back on this young man, and there's a lot of criticism, but I don't think that that's merited. You know, when you take a look at the infection inside of my tooth, nobody in the industry leaves behind a dead tissue after surgery, except dentist, you know. And this thing really did get in there, really did cause problems for me. We'll do go to YouTube. So I watched that video after the fact, or maybe while I was waiting for the bovine um, graft to come in. But it's been about a week. My jaw's still sore. They safely got all of the tooth out. They didn't have to do anything too fancy. They did have to extract some of the parts you saw that it had cracked by now. Um, this thing should never have been. So let's go with root canal toxicity. All right. Again, I am not trying to tell you what to do with yourself. I am just simply reporting the facts of what happened to me. The same thing had happened to my sister, and that's almost killed her as well years ago. So that was in the back of my mind. So I've watched some of these folks, and there are doctors. These people are doctors saying that it causes lower life expectancy and decreased disease. But I also watched a few of these guys that said, "Oh, I'm a doctor too, and there's no direct causative thing." I don't think there's a direct causative relationship because uh, people sort out the data that they want. Again, the question is, does everybody who has a heart attack have a root canal? No, right? So, or does everybody who have a root canal have a heart attack? Well, no, because every root canal is different. There are certain kinds of root canal that if they lead to your heart, it's going to cause you problems. But I think a lot of the people that are reporting chronic fatigue syndrome probably have a bad root canal in there, and they need to check it. I said all that to say this, that I do want to get back into the building on this farm. Fall will be coming up. I'm almost done with the sawmill. I've been moved forward. If you've been watching the channel, I dug the ponds. I've done everything that I can do. Um, but I think I'll reset in the fall. I might hire additional staff to help me get this project rebooted. I don't mind self-building. I enjoy it, nor do I mind how I live. You can look out the door and see it's a beautiful day behind me. I've seen the chickens running around behind me. So, I think that that's been uh, really I just enjoy it out here. It's very primitive, but I'm a single man with no kids. The whole thing. What I can't do is not do anything. This is the lowest quality of life that I've had in a house in decades, ever maybe since I was a young man and bought my first house. But you can see behind me in the video that the power's not done, the drywall's not done. The reason why those aren't done is I have to put a foundation underneath this building and the next building over, and then put a roof between them. Um, because if I finish all the drywall now and I raise and lower this building, it will flex, right? And it'll crack all my seams. And then I'll just have crack. And some cracks are charming. But I'm gonna try not to have any. It's held up pretty good. If you look between the wood and the drywall, I taped it. You could look at my video how I did that. Once I put the final coat in there, it's not going to go anywhere. Furthermore, I'll use the spackling with some chopped up fiberglass in it or something that'll prevent cracks, a crack resistant vinyl top coat. And then followed by Italian plaster. So it will be beautiful behind me. But all of those big projects, once you start pouring concrete, you can't quit. I've got to have endurance to make it through a full day in the heat pouring concrete, right? Because you can't have a cold seam in concrete. So this all feeds back into root canal that really took took it out of me. 22% of root canals fail in the first 5 years. Um, I am telling you, if you don't need that root canal, get it pulled, put in a bridge, permanent bridge. They're much better. I think I'd even do that in the front now. I am really hit the point where I am anti-root canal. I got another couple of root canals also. They're closer up, right? But back when I got them, these have lasted, 20 years. There had been no penetration into the root wasn't infected, right? It was heading that way. The doctor and I made a discussion. I felt more informed than on this tooth, where I feel like the dentist, through neglect and bamboozling words, oh, it's the middle. Now, it is the middle because I have an impacted wisdom tooth that hasn't popped out. But from my perspective, it's the last fully formed wisdom tooth. It's not a middle tooth. It's not going to shift my. I just was denied my right, and my voice wasn't heard. And 4 years later, my heart hurts, and I needed a bone graft because I couldn't get a doctor to listen the first time, a dentist. in this case. But I'm going to lump doctors in there too. Uh, I don't know how to build better patient-doctor relationships because I know patients are difficult. I am not. I can do dental work without any anesthetic, for example, and I have, right? I'm tough. Um, I'm also logical, but boy, if a guy like me who does push back and I'm strong and if I lose against the medical industry, I'm thinking people who are more passive, they're just getting walked all over. The first diagnosis that pops through a doctor's head, that's what they get. They don't get any real treatment. In this particular case, I should not have gotten a root canal. I don't I've got a couple that are fine. I'm fine with this tooth in the front has been completely broken off. One of my teeth complete. This is not a real tooth. This is a fake tooth. It's not a bridge. There was enough foundation that they did a little weird crown on the front. That's why I got a little crooked tooth here. But I lived rough when I was young, so but this tooth I clearly understood because I had another one. Just pull them when they're way in the back, and you've got plenty of wisdom teeth. Just pull them and don't mess with them. Furthermore, when they're way in the back, they're closer to the blood flow, both for the brain and for the heart. And they're harder for the doctors to do because, up front, I had a lot of access. Way back there, they have to get back in there. And did they ever clean it out? Well, no, they couldn't have cleaned it out because I already had an infection down in the root. So all they did was leave behind a dead tooth capping, and then they put a root canal over it, capping a bacterial infection, and just I hope your body works it out. There's no blood vessels there at that point. There was nothing to do except what happened: erode the bone, cause a bone graft problem, get in a blood vessel, give me blood. Fortunately, I didn't go septic, but give me a blood poisoning that was give me a endonic infection of the heart lining. A little thing that became a big deal that impacts my ability to enjoy my quality of life. And I'm glad that I'm actively involved in my own healthcare, and so should you be. You saw go on to YouTube, make your own appraisal before you do a root canal. Again, I've got a couple that worked out just fine. The ones that I knew wouldn't work out, one I pulled, just had them pull it, pull it. One wisdom tooth back here, but this one I wish I would have been stronger. I wish I would have been no means no, and not listen to any of the arguments against what I knew was right. Um, but it shouldn't have been a battle either. Right? She should have been a partnership. I should have been able to express. And even this dentist, when I said, no, I don't want cadaver bone in there. And the reason is I'm not religious, not anything. I don't want to be mentally haunted by the bone in my jaw that might have been somebody else. Blood transfusion. I know somebody dead, a living person gave me a blood transfusion, right? It was a gift, right? But a bone, I don't know where it came from or what the events are, and my brain wouldn't have let that go. And but a bovine, a little cow bone. Oh shoot, I like cows. I don't really care how it lived its life. A cow is a cow is a cow, right? But all people aren't equivalent people. There's good people and bad people, and I wanted the liberty. Fortunately, they listened to me. They ordered it in. They got it scheduled. They rushed through. I'm so happy with this dentist. Um, that fixed me. Probably saved my life, to be honest. But I say all that to say this. I want you all to if you're a single man, don't be stubborn. Check in your health and take a look at any root canals. Take a look at your teeth. Make sure they're not infected already. I'm saying root canal, but listen. I was in an auto accident. Some of my teeth were shattered in it, and they just missed one. Nobody's fault, right? Except the person who ran me over. Um, and but it's my responsibility to maintain my health even still. So anyway, that's Steve at Thousand Year Homes. Why things have been so slow for me? I don't have any endurance in the heat. My heat endurance is shot, And I really appreciate all of you joining, subscribing, following me around. Listen, I still almost have 1 million views. I still have almost 5,000 subscribers. These are organic subscribers, people that have dropped by and said, "Hey, what's up with this guy building this house off grid?" For no money. I'm not using bank money. I'm using my own money. So when I'm done building this house, and I'm already living in it, right? I'm living in a house that I don't own debt on. Now that makes me feel happy. But anyway, I want to encourage people to be able to do the same thing. Get out from underneath the Meritage Homes of the world and all these crap construction companies that don't care at all. But to do that, you have to be in good health. Anyway, I want to encourage y'all to do that. Wanted to give you an update on why I've been a little piecemeal, and really appreciate y'all tuning in. Thousand Year Home is what I'm about. I look at buildings that are 1,000 years old, and I'm trying to build this a retirement home to last 1,000 years. Heavy beams, hand cut beams, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, like, subscribe, follow me along. Check out anything if you got root canals. Do a little serious audit of them this year and make sure they're all healthy. Thanks so much. Y'all have a good day.